I like SRB2. I like SRB2 mods. I think the SRB2 modding community is pretty admirable when it comes to the ratio of great, well thought out mods that really feel like they had a lot of effort put into them and can stand up to the original game, to the mods that are really just joke characters that exist to make you laugh once before you realise they bring nothing else to the table and never play with again. Sadly, Jerma985, the mod I'm going to be reviewing today, definitely fits into the latter category. In fact, I'd say it's even one of the worst offenders when it comes to this, as it lacks the ability for me to find it funny even once, and instead leaves me feeling a little deflated while playing. Let's explain why. Jerma985 was created by Swords and is based off the YouTuber and streamer Jerma985. Yeah, I don't feel like I really need to tell you that, as I'm sure you all will have seen this picture, or this fake headline, or this picture. I've never watched him, so I can't tell you why he seems to appear so often in this particular type of meme as some weird serial killer cryptid creepypasta hybrid. But in the end, none of that really matters here, because despite all the interesting possibilities when adapting a YouTuber with this kind of media surrounding him, the creator took a really boring direction with the mod. From the description of the mod, I assume Jerma was simply a much taller Amy clone, as he has an extremely similar attack when pressing spin, but as it turns out, he's actually much worse. This lunge forward is his only ability. I know there could be an excuse to how this is the creator's first mod, which I can kind of see and accept, and maybe even how, due to the sprites being taken from a green screen video, there weren't any other motions that could really be adapted into abilities, which is even more tenuous an excuse when, in flicking to 2 or 3 random points in the video, I was able to find 2 or 3 other motions Jerma did which could reasonably turn into abilities. I try not to pick on new creators too much, considering that, from what I've heard at least, SRB2 is pretty difficult to mod, but I would prefer that the sprites used don't quite match up to the abilities than just not having any abilities at all. There are no interesting ways to exploit the level design using this ability. The good flow of the mod can be pretty much solely attributed to the level design and basic momentum set up in vanilla SRB2, and I think there were several other abilities that could have been added based off both the other motions performed in the video the sprites were taken from, and from the media surrounding Jerma. After already ranting about the sprite in the moveset section, I'm sure you all can guess I'm not really a massive fan of the set wheel given here. Obviously, the sprites really do not mess well with the aesthetics of the levels, enemies and bosses, but given as that is the joke of the mod, I'm not going to be too harsh on that, especially considering how hard spriting can be when working pretty much by yourself. That being said, something I will lament is the actual number of sprites. I feel that Jerma has just enough sprites to be serviceable, but I feel that there easily could have been much more. I haven't watched the entire video to check, it's 4 hours long, don't judge me, but there has to be a somewhat complete walking and running motion somewhere in the video. Even if more sprites were added that didn't really blend with the sprites already in the game, I feel that would only add to the comedy that the mod was going for. Overall, the sprites aren't very good, there's not very many of them, and I'm certainly not going to give it a high score. But considering I feel that that is at least partially intentional in some sort of lazy, kinda amateur way, I could probably score it lower than the ultimate 3 I will give it. I feel that this could be the review where there could be at least some debate about whether I should review a mod based off its objective quality, or how fully it achieves what it sets out to do. I try and give mods at least a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but I'll admit fully I definitely bear review based off the former option. And here, there really isn't much to write home about, at least in terms of objective positives. A non-existent moveset, some fairly poor quality sprites, and a definite feeling that there was a potential that wasn't reached here. If I could give a bit of advice to people starting out in modding SRB2, and please keep in mind that this is entirely based off an outsider's view of the modding process, but I feel it's probably better to either try and cozy up with more experienced modders who can give a lot of advice that can come in invaluable, or start off with smaller, less ambitious projects. A character feels like the type of modded content that has the greatest potential to completely fail to live up to the expectations you and your audience set out trying to reach with it, and considering how much of a time sink they can be real investments into your life. In other words, if the creator of the mod does see this video, I want to say that my opinion is ultimately no more relevant than anyone else's, and considering how positive the reviews are on the forum, it's most likely that I'm simply not the correct audience for this type of mod. To conclude, I think Jerma985 deserves a 3 out of 10. The mod, obviously. I haven't watched any German content and I can't give an opinion on that. I hope you enjoy the video, and ciao.